Riverdale.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Divine Reflections podcast hosted by Geeked Out Nation. I am Jess Camacho. I am the one of the editors of the Geeked Out Nation comic section. Um, so, as you probably saw in the post that you're watching this video in, we love the Wicked and the Divine a lot. We love it more than you probably should love any comic book.
Or
But
media.
or media, yeah, anything. It's kind of our lives now. It's our lives. We live it, we breathe it. So we decided that since we do live and breathe the wicked and the divine, that we would put together this awesome little podcast that we're gonna do monthly, discussing each issue as they come out. But since this is our first one, and we just got the idea to do this a week ago, we're going to discuss the entire first arc. Which has been titled the Faust Act, according to the trade. So that's what we're doing here today. I am joined by two co-hosts. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
My name is Soup Owens Fowler. I'm a contributor for Geeked Out Nation, and I love all things awesome, dark, and badass and comic-y. And this is my shit. I'm sorry. I love this so much. It is. I haven't read a comic that touched me right in my darkness in so long. I love it. And that's where I'm going to leave. Bye. Bye.
I'm sorry. I had a moment. I am Janobi, the other editor, and tonight I am a ceiling fan.
Yes. You got a little dust up there, though.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey.
I judge. I accept you.
It's been a while.
Obviously, I'll judge you. I love you and your dust.
All right, so probably doesn't need to be said if you're watching this, but we're gonna warn you anyway. There are going to be a lot of spoilers in this first episode. As I mentioned, we're going to go through issues 1 through 5, but we're not going to bore you with a panel by panel summary of what happened. We're just going to give you a quick, this is what it's about, this is who's in it, and then we're going to go into a deeper analysis because this is a big book and there's a lot to say about what's happening to these characters. So I guess, the basic premise of the Wicked and the Divine is that gods live among us. Every certain amount of years, they come back to Earth as they appear as humans.
Like about 90 years?
I think it's about 90 years, yeah. And this time around, they're here as celebrities. They're singers, and they're famous, and TMZ loves them, and people adore them all over the world. And our main character, Laura, is one of them. She's like #1 groupie of the gods. She believes that they're gods. She knows that they're gods. She worships them as gods.
She goes to see every show that comes through. Doesn't matter what god it is. If you're on that list, she is in front row.
Yes.
Pretty much.
We have a big cast of characters as Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey are really giving us different kinds of gods from different walks, from different mythological places. We have some Japanese gods, some Irish gods, some Roman gods, some Middle Eastern gods, lots of different gods. And with Laura is this other mortal. At least I am going to go with the fact that she's a mortal for now. And her name is Cassandra.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about Cassandra?
Cassandra is the flip side of the coin that Laura represents. Laura is on board, no matter what or who you are. If you are one of the gods, she is on board and fully behind you 100%. She believes in you with all of her heart. Cassandra is the absolute cynic. She doesn't believe that these are gods, at least at first, and she believes that there's a big con going on. As a journalist, she feels that it is her moral obligation to present the absolute truth, that she doesn't believe that this is anything real at all, and that everybody in the world is being faked out. And to do that, she's going to go directly to the source, find out the truth, and present these frauds for what they are. Oh, little does she know, ... Yeah, she's the opposite. So both sides of the story about is it real, is it not real, is presented in these characters.
Yeah, and I think something we need to I feel the need to point out about Cassandra is that Cassandra is not a name that they chose arbitrarily. There's something behind that. Cassandra was given the power of prophecy by Apollo, and to make basically he wanted her to fall in love with him, but it didn't work. She pushed him away, and so he then cursed her with with a curse that no one will believe what she says.
Yep.
So
she tells the truth. She sees the future, but nobody will
nobody will ever believe it. It's a really cool, yeah, and it's very cool to see them add this in and have her be this reporter and this documentarian that works with someone like Laura who believes so hard. And then of course we have our superstars, the actual gods. It's I don't believe they have all been revealed yet. On the front pages, we have these circles with different symbols within each one, and there are still a couple of blank spots. But my own list, and I may be forgetting names, so if I am, just throw some in there. I have Lucifer, obviously Lucy, Baal, Sekhmet, Woden, Minerva, Ananke, the Morrigan, Baphomet, Inanna, and Tara. That's who I have so far that we've been at least...
Amaterasu.
Oh, yes. Amaterasu, yes. How could I forget her? She's like the prettiest one. She's so pretty.
Easiest name to remember if you're a Naruto fan.
Yeah, so each one of them has a very distinct personality within the story, and Laura has had an interaction with all of them at this point by the time the 5th issue ends. They just have not all been
fleshed out.
Long interactions. I don't know, obviously the biggest interaction she's had is with Lucy, Lucifer herself. It's an understatement to say that Lucy's like the best character.
The best! Oh my god.
So, Soup, do you want to actually talk about Lucy's arc throughout the first storyline here?
Lucy is, for one, she's amazing, and she's right now my absolute favorite character of any comic book. We'll get to that. But to start with, she's the sexy Bowie-esque character that comes in and is just too absolutely cool for every situation and person in the room, no matter what room she is in. She owns it because it is the truth. She is the embodiment of Lucifer, the devil, and she knows this, and she makes sure everybody else knows this. In the first arc, she is doing her thing, and Laura interacts with her in such a way where Laura feels a kinship with her, or they have some sort of connection that keeps them together. I'm not going to spoil that. You should be reading this comic book. But enough so that she gets into a little bit of trouble because she has godlike abilities. All of the gods have these godlike abilities. They just don't want to flash around. They have their own set of rules, and Lucy likes to skirt on the edge of those rules. In the first arc, she skirts a little too far over the edge and finds herself in front of the human justice system. And in a demonstration of her power, she threatens to kill a judge by snapping her fingers. Unfortunately, that exactly happens. Mm-hmm. So everybody believes that she is not only a god because she did that and blew up a judge's head, but that she actually did that. Since the Pantheon has its own rules, they wanted her to stay in the human jail to let it play out. Our girl ain't having none of that. None of that whatsoever. So, through a series of wonderful conversations with our point of view character Laura and her own decisions, which I do believe are meta conversations from the creators to us that allowed Lucy to take control of her situation in the most badass way possible. Everything that happens after that goes right into the most recent issue, and we're going to save a little bit of that till later.
Yeah. We're gonna get into some really spoiler heavy stuff, but we want to just give you guys a good background before we get into because inevitably what we want you to do is to buy the book because it's so
Yes.
good.
And Lucy's story here is really the core of the plot as it's a mystery. It's a murder mystery. Did Lucy really kill the judge? Is she a murderer? If not, who is? And that's Laura's quest to find out, because Laura does not believe that Lucy is a murderer. So she is driven to find this. And nobody really knows for sure who or who is not. I mean, not even Lucy herself.
I got my theories.
She did it. And that is the fun.
Okay, and Laura has, on top of her relationship with Lucy and Cassandra, Lucy has deep interactions with two other gods, and those are the Morgan, who is three gods in one, and Baal, who is the Kanye West of our story and my personal favorite. Because he is Kanye West. That is why he's my favorite.
The only reason why I have to disagree with you is because Ball out Kanye. Ball takes Kanye to the next level. Kanye, in his world, wishes he could be Ball.
No, that's a fair point. But I think that's really why he becomes my favorite. And if you haven't read it yet, the relationship that he has with Laura is a fan thing. Laura is like in love with him. Sure. She thinks he's the best ever. Maybe as the story goes on, she loves Lucy a little bit more because they have more of a relationship, but her fandom is really in him, and they have some interactions, but it's a lot of the time it's her trying to be suave and not as fangirl as she could be, which has given us some amazing moments.
I think of that one scene so often in just dealing with the day-to-day. Yes. It's just perfect. How many of us have felt that way?
I did a week ago.
Yeah, right? You did. That's one of the reasons why I was thinking of that scene. So, like, that is her right now.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. Okay. So, that's her relationship with him. And then her relationship with the Morrigan, Jadobi. Do you want to go into that a little bit more? That's the other one that she has had a lot to do with.
With the Morrigan, we have these three personalities. Yeah, the Morgan, she's just dark. You have, why am I forgetting the other name? I want to say Annie? No.
Gentle Annie.
Gentle Annie, who's pretty much the healer. Well, actually, I'm not entirely too sure about the whole. Well, healer.
For all intents and purposes, let's go with that for now.
Yeah. like I wanted to say healing, and I'm thinking, is that really healing?
Anyway, that's the beauty of the book. Is it really?
And then the third one, what is it?
Bad B.
What is it that she does? What is there a summary exactly what that is?
Oh shit moment.
Yeah, I think that's just what we're gonna call it, the oh shit moment.
If she comes out, oh shit, everything's going down right now. She's the bomb.
Yeah, Bad Bee is the angry one. She's the one with the crows. And they basically, all three of those gods make up the Morrigan. She's one person that can become any of these three people.
Now her fandom is based on goth culture and the underground, and of course I identified immediately. Yep. I saw the picture of it before I even read a single thing. I'm like, that's goth. Right. It was absolutely true.
But I really like the Morrigan because there's so much range in her character. You just don't know what to expect from her, especially when she's three gods in one, and you're just wondering. I mean, you know, the Morrigan is the main personality,
Mm.
but at some
Baseline.
bad time, yeah, at base, but at the same time, you're wondering when she's switching. You're wondering which one of them's really doing the talking here.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
know.
exactly.
That's why she's my favorite.
Do you wanna talk a little bit about what her relationship with Laura has been like so far?
Her relationship has been well. Laura kind of did her a favor, so the Morrigan is kind of that shadow character that Laura can turn to in a time of need,
Mhm.
and and of course that is what Laura does in the most recent issue. Well, which we will also leave aside for the intent of spoilers. But the Morgan is definitely a character that she can trust. Probably someone that she'll turn to for help later on in the series.
Yeah, so the rest of the gods have been introduced. We've seen them at least. We've at least seen them and seen what they look like. But we haven't gotten a ton of character development out of them yet. But based on who they are, if you just, I'm really into mythology, but if you're not, it's very easy to find this kind of stuff. You just Wikipedia the names, see what they're about, see where, from there you could kind of figure out what's going to happen. So, as Soup said, this is basically a murder mystery, framed in the sense that these are gods who are celebrities, and the mortal girl, Laura, who just really wants to be one of them. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's where our story that's where these 5 issues go. Lucy's in jail. We need to find out who actually killed this judge. And through this story, Laura and Cassandra get deeper and deeper and deeper into this world of the gods. And I think the interesting thing to point out here is that, like, these gods are only around for like 2 years.
And then they die.
And then they
Yes.
die. that's that's
That's
that's
that's the
unfortunate.
and that is kind of like the beauty of the power there is that yes, every 90 years these gods take on mortal forms, and the mortal forms get these incredible powers that they can use, and in this case that they use to become celebrities and have fame and adoration, but they only get to enjoy it for 2 years and then they die.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting to point out as well is that we've only seen them now. We haven't seen them in their other incarnations. So we don't know if every incarnation has been this epic celebrity status for
Mm.
them. We know that they come back and they're adored because they are gods, but we don't know how they go about doing this. I've played around with some theories on my own where I think, like, in previous incarnations maybe they came back as doctors and political leaders and things like that, and had and did things where they would open themselves up to be worshipped. But I think this is why I like the book so much. There is so much metaphorical stuff in the fact that they are gods that come back as celebrities.
Yes, it's a comment on our 2014 culture because
Yes.
that this book takes place during the 1 year, I believe. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but from what I understood, it's only going to be a 1 year, and it's right now we're still in January, and
Yeah.
A lot has happened in a short amount of time.
a lot has happened in like the what 2 weeks maybe that the book has
Maybe.
has happened,
Yeah.
and this is our year, and this is a reflection of it. Absolutely. The gods, of course, they would be celebrities. If you had godlike powers and you're a product of today, what are you going to do? You're going to be famous instantly.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's such a like, I mean, if you've read this team's work before with Young Avengers and Phonogram, this is so them. It's like everything they've done kind of culminating into one book, and this is what it is. We've got lots of references to like modern culture. We've got over-the-top characters that are just like too hip for their own good.
Too hip
and
for anybody's
for
good.
and it's just it's this very mythological heavy book that doesn't feel like that. Because if you read a lot of what people write in their reviews, they kind of feel like some of the more negative comments are they feel that they need to look up too much stuff to understand what's happening. And I'm like, well, that's because you're allowing the stuff about the gods to interfere with enjoying the story. You don't have to know any of this stuff.
Nope.
One of the negative criticisms I've read that really kind of it irked me, but it just gave me a understanding that the reviewer didn't really wasn't behind what the book is going for. Was the complaint was if they had godlike powers, why are they lowering themselves to be just celebrities? Why don't they use their powers to save the world and help the world and be heroes or whatnot? And like that misses the entire point of the
Mm-hmm.
book. This is a reflection of our culture. These people who they inhabit
Mm-hmm.
are what, young early 20s, maybe a little less or more depending on who they are. That is their culture that they were entered into, where the utmost pinnacle of what you can be as a human being is respected and well known and beloved by everybody in the whole world all at the same time. So they would use their powers absolutely to be celebrities. And how do you do that? You got to be a rock star.
Yes.
Yep.
I think the thing with that criticism of the series is to say that to me, and I hope this doesn't sound ignorant or like rude, more rude, is that you say that, and I wonder if you've ever read any actual myths, if you've ever done research on some of these gods, because the gods always get involved with mortal issues. They never sit up on their mountain their entire lifespans and just say, "Oh, look, powers, powers, powers." Even like we said in an earlier part of this about Cassandra,
Mm,
she only got that curse because a god got involved with mortals.
yeah.
This is what they do. So obviously they would come back in 2014 and be Kanye West and
Yeah.
Bieber and David Bowie. That is who they'd be, without
Yep.
a doubt.
I
It just
mean,
looks to me that the creators have their fingers on the pulse of what really is going on in our world today, and
Yes.
this is their way to address it. And that's why this is like we use the word so often, but this really is the coolest book, the
Mhm.
coolest, freshest, hippest book, cutting edge right here. And it's all because they understand what's going on and the way the world works.
hmm not to mention, not to mention, having all that power. It really, because as it was stated. I mean, I don't want to tread into spoilers, but as they said in that recent issue, the gods the gods they look to people to be adored. They're going to use their powers to be adored.
Mm,
It's like who really wouldn't? I mean, the first your first instinct if you had superpowers might be, I mean, if you had superpowers would be that you would be a superhero. If you had the powers of a god, that's a whole different story
that's
altogether.
That's exactly right. There is a distinction between
Mhm.
superpower and god powers.
Yeah.
hmm
And I think when you talk about Gillen and McKelvey knowing what is going on in modern culture, I think that's more illustrated best in Laura.
Yes.
Um, I don't want to throw shade at like other books, but you do see younger characters and they come off as stereotypes.
Mm,
They
There's
do.
nothing else to them. Laura is a complicated young woman. I believe, what is she, 19? I think they
yeah.
said she was 19.
19.
Um, she's complicated. There's more to her. She's got the stuff with her parents that they just, it's not really a I hate you kind of relationship. It's more like
No.
you don't understand me kind of relationship, and she wants to be a part of these famous people, and she adores them for reasons she really can't grasp, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
the way some kids are such crazy fans over certain singers like
It's
Bieber.
impulsive,
Mhm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. But then as you see her get involved in the situation with Lucy, other parts of her come out. Her ability to be sympathetic to what Lucy's going through, and her desire to help people and want to do the right thing. And you don't see that a lot in young characters. You kind of
No.
just see them being impulsive and wild, or
Mhm.
the complete opposite, where they're too good for to be realistic.
Right.
Yeah, and and what I also like about this is that I'm someone who really likes myth. So when I look at this series, it really challenges your belief. It challenges Laura's belief. She looks at these people and she wants to believe. She wants to believe that they're gods. She does believe that they're gods, and it hurts her when she believes that there's God, that these are gods, and she sees how they act towards each other.
Yeah.
She can't believe that one of them would actually set up the other, which was kind of heartbreaking when you see her in this room saying, "Look at each one of you talking about making her sit in that cell. You're acting all calm when the killer could be right next to you."
I would like to, since you brought that up, I would like to point out as a testament to her character that she's a young teenage girl who just stood up to all of the gods at the same time because she believed that was the right thing to do. If nobody else is going to call you out of your bullshit, I'm going to do it, and I'm here now, and she did it. And that
Mhm.
was a defining character moment, I think.
It really was.
Come
Yeah.
on, Laura. Come on now. Awesome. All the way down to her little dip green hair. That's great. That was even addressed specifically in the issue. All the gods, when they speak to her, they kind of like, oh, it's you, the Uber fan, da 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 da, with your drip green hair. But at the same time, they see her power as she's moving through the story and making her presence known that even the Morrigan has to respect that. While she's
Yeah.
being derisive, she's still coming to her aid. Instead
Yep.
of dismissing her as immortal, as I know you mean something, little Uber fan.
Yeah, I mean, and Laura, when you get stories like this, the human character could easily be underdeveloped and not worth putting in the story.
Right.
But Laura is a lot more than that, and I think that's part of why I like the story so much,
Yes.
because the gods are there, of course, and you get a lot of them when they interact with Laura, like Lucy. I don't think we would have liked Lucy as much as we do
No.
had she never had anything to do with Laura, and I don't think we'd love the Morrigan or Ball as much as we do if they
That's
never
true.
interacted with her. Like I mentioned, we haven't really seen a lot of some of the other gods, so I don't feel like I know them or enough to say I like them.
Not
Um,
yet, but there's a
not
whole
yet.
series.
There's a whole lot of story coming, especially with how number 5 ended. But um, Laura is very much the center of this story in every sense,
Mhm.
and I think that that's such a valuable thing for this creative team to do. And I bring up when you look at this story, I don't know if you guys have read this book, but the Neil Gaiman book American Gods.
Oh yeah, I read it.
Um, when I met last week at Comic Con, 2 weeks ago now at Comic Con, I met the creative team. I told Kieran Gillen, I was like, I love American Gods. It's probably like one of my top 5 favorite books ever. But I honestly feel at this point in the story that this could be better than that. They're dealing with some very similar issues, but in totally different ways. And I kind of like what the Wicked and the Divine is doing a little bit more,
Yeah.
only because there's a lot of sense of dread here. This is not a happy story. I mean,
Right.
people are dying, and Lucifer is someone we feel sympathetic for.
Exactly. Lucifer is like almost a protagonist. Not
Yeah,
quite, but almost.
yeah, and I think as this goes on, especially with how issue 5 ended, which we're gonna have to spoil soon because we got to get into this.
Yeah.
This could be better. This could be the interaction, the relationship between gods and a human could end up being done better in this than American Gods, which is saying a lot because that book is amazing.
And
Yep.
to kind of segue from that into a feeling that I've expressed in reviews I've had before, this is our generation's Sandman. That's
Yeah.
exactly what this is. That's what it feels like. It's a story that's about stories interacting with themselves as stories, and how powerful that was back in the late '80s and into the '90s. That is exactly what we're seeing here. And I'm not sure if it had enough time and life to be able to influence and the direction it's going, but I see that. I see the seeds of that. And I'm not
Mhm.
using it as a hyperbole. I believe it when I mean it, that we're seeing something epic just birthing in front of us. And I love it.
All right. So, at this point in the podcast, we've really talked about what the story is, who the characters are. So, if you have not read it, this is where you want to turn it off because we're gonna get into spoiler territory
Go get it
now.
right now. Like right now,
It,
leave, go get
all the
it.
issues should be at your local comic shop. If they're not, they are all on Comixology. And if you really are like, no, next month, next month for $10, the whole first 5 issues.
$10,
Thank you. Ten
5 issues.
dollars. ten
Do yourself a
dollars.
favor.
Please.
Seriously,
You need
go
that.
read it.
You need it.
You need it. It's like air. Like if
Yes.
you need it. So I mean, unless you want to die, then that's your prerogative. But I'm saying you need to go get it. So we're gonna get into spoiler territory now.
Thank you
So
for listening, all of you guys.
okay. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is issue 5.
Oh my god!
Yes. Yes.
We do not know. We do not know who killed this judge. Okay, we don't know.
Theory.
We have theories. Jovi's gonna get to his theory, but Lucy is dead.
I, can you imagine how I felt when I turned the page to see that shit?
I was like, oh lady, you better not. As I put your hand down, put your damn hand down.
I stood up and screamed at the comic book. I
I
did.
have had that moment.
I'm not going to recreate the scream for the benefit of our listeners' ears, but I really did. I physically stood up and screamed at the comic book when that happened.
Yep.
Oh, but it does. It
So
was important. It was important, and I
it
understand it
was
was important.
It had to happen.
It did
it
have to
was
happen
important
because
because what we end with on the last page, Laura is she's in her own way mourning Lucy, and she starts thinking about the situation and what would Lucy do, and she counts and snaps her fingers, and out comes a flame, and we realize that Laura has powers now.
Yep.
um,
it was her gift, her
it was her
last.
gift.
And here's
Yes,
the interesting thing: it was the first gift of
yes,
of many, apparently,
yes.
or more than one. It was the first gift. So we're not done there. I don't know
No,
how the death of gods really works. I'm going to imagine it works similar to how it works with us, and they're gone and off the table.
yeah.
But I have a feeling that some things are going to happen. I think that one of the reasons why I think that it was important for them to show this is because, as we talked about before, the Pantheon has its own laws. It has its own structure and hierarchy, because if they were allowed to do whatever they want, then the world would be chaos all the time. And that apparently that's important to them, that it's not, so they do have rules. This shows that they mean business. They're serious business. Like when Lucy escaped prison by burning the wall away and walking out to go get her happy cup of coffee, destroying everything in her path to do so, I thought to myself, why don't they do this more often? That's why. Exactly right. You cannot do that because otherwise, head explode. That's the rules.
I think when it comes to Lucy's death, what hasn't been established is are the gods spirits? Are they more than just the vessel that they're in? Because I was under the impression that when Laura did that, that was her taking over for Lucy. That vessel is now gone, and there has to always be those particular gods, and it
Right.
moved on to Laura, who
Now,
wanted it so bad, and maybe Lucy, in her own way, set it up to where where the spirit of Lucifer would then go straight to Laura, and Laura would become the vessel for that.
the
Because
answers to
that hasn't
that,
been established.
no, it has not. The answers to that are in issue 6 and on.
Yeah, yeah,
We
Definitely.
don't know, but it would make a lot of sense considering that they say when they come back to Earth, they fill a human host and they have
hmm
to, and they're in that host body for 2 years and then they die. They
yeah,
didn't really cover at all what happens if the host dies within the 2 years.
yeah.
So that is an extremely plausible, and oh my God, wouldn't
And
that
I
be
think
interesting?
it would be, and I think in more of a practical sense, it's kind of like when you look at Doctor Who. Um, if these people are the exact same physical person, wouldn't we have already picked up on the fact that they appear at different points in history?
Yeah.
It's
Just
true.
like in Doctor Who, the Doctor at people started figuring out that he was real because he just kept showing up in different points in history and people had photographic proof of it. So I'm thinking that that is how it works. That these are vessels. That the spirit they're actually something bigger than the person.
Yeah. It
And
has to
I
be.
think and I think that's what Laura's going to function as now. I think she is the vessel for Lucifer, which sounds a lot more evil.
Yes, it sounds like a metal album, man.
It's
Lucifer.
that's what's gonna happen. She's gonna become a rock star. She's gonna have a death metal album called
Yeah.
Vessel of Lucifer. That's issue 6.
Yep.
But the big thing here is that the murder mystery has not been wrapped up.
Not
And
even
Jacoby,
close.
you have like an actual theory as to all of this, so if you want to share that.
See, my theory started at the very death of Lucy because we've all seen Ananke. She obviously has to be powerful to be the person who guards the pantheon
Right.
and keeps them safe from the rest of the world. So when you see her blow up Lucy's head, it makes you're more overcome with the fact that she just killed Lucy than actually noticing how she killed Lucy, and then you realize, and then you ask yourself, who else could have blown up the judge's head that way? She's the only person who fits that bill right now as having some sort of ability that can do that.
What would be her motivation for killing the judge?
I mean, at the moment, Lucy does seem like a favorite to her, but Lucy, also being Lucifer, all is also seems like a liability to them, and she's already proven herself to be a liability. So who knows? This could have easily have been her trying to put Lucy in timeout, trying to send her a message that obviously failed.
Or did it because now she has to? Well, wouldn't she know how? Okay, let's go with the theory, the first theory, that if a vessel dies, the god goes to another vessel for the duration of the 2 years. Let's stick with that theory. Wouldn't Ananke know that, and therefore would know as she killed Lucy that I'm not done with Lucifer yet. We still got a year and a half.
Maybe the person, maybe the vessel has a part in the behavior of the god itself. That Laura is so much more mild mannered that she would be able to do different things with the spirit. That she's still gonna do the Lucifer type things, but in a more sensible or mild mannered way.
That
That's
would
the only thing I could think of, but even
and
that doesn't match up with Lucifer that much.
it really doesn't, but if you think about that, then that means that Ananke knew that it would happen this way the entire time and knew that Laura would end up being the embodiment of Lucifer. That was the whole goal for her, killing the judge and everything. The whole motivation would be to put Lucifer in the body of our favorite little pop band girl.
I don't think that's a crazy far out theory though,
It's
because
not crazy
yeah,
and far out. It's,
because Ananke is their leader,
yeah.
Hmm.
and she physically is much older than them. So is it possible that maybe she is older like that for a reason? That she has been around this long and she knows more than everyone else does, and she's not letting on to what she knows, and that she could see the future, different what these gods were going to end up doing, and that's maybe why she killed off Lucy and let Laura become the new vessel. That maybe Laura's someone she could control better. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
That's it. No, this is good stuff to throw out there and lay down because I want to see who picks it up. But no, that's awesome. But then again, I was a little distracted by Lucy dying and screaming and freaking out over that. That yes, I didn't really take into account the way she died. I didn't make that connection, but it didn't really dawn on me until later when I was thinking about it. Is she just revealed everything to everybody. You,
Mhm.
with the camera, come here. Let me tell you. All right, everybody, here's how it is. We're here. That's the way it is. You can't do anything about it, but I want you to know that we self police ourselves. That is why I did what I just did on camera. But imagine what that kind of information would do to us as a people. I think we're going to find out.
Yep.
But I think the thing to take note with that too is whose camera was that? That was Cassandra's people, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And
Yeah.
Cassandra has already had a tough time proving that they are gods because she's Cassandra. So maybe the film will leak because Cassandra will put it out there, but nobody will believe her because that's her curse.
The
That
fact
that's of course me taking her name literally and believing that that's who she is in this story because she
uh,
does need Laura's help.
I love that you're doing that, and I'm going to go with it. And the fact, if that's the way it comes to be, means that this story is so intricate and layered and planned out
Yeah.
before anything happened that it is even better than we think it is now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that also makes you wonder how exactly these interviews went with Laura,
Right.
because you still see her very confused as to what she was doing, as to the way the cameras were looking at her, as to the way she was talking to the cameras, the questions she was being asked, the reaction from her parents. So it makes you wonder what exactly was she saying, and how did other people perceive the way she explained the events.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. And now
Especially
I
for
now
now.
yeah, and now so I now wonder going forward, given that Laura now has powers, what do you guys see her doing with them though? What do you see her future looking like? Do you think she's gonna run to basically Amaterasu or the Morrigan and saying, "Hey, look, I've got powers," because those are I would say that those are the only two she can really trust.
Right.
Pretty much.
So
I
would she go to them, or do you guys think that she's just gonna kind of deal with it on her own?
I
I think she
think.
would.
Oh gosh, you go
I'm sorry.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I think that she would definitely go to them because now she's something that she's never been before, and she needs to go to somebody that who could understand the position she's in now. And those are the two that she's had dealings with that were somewhat positive, not necessarily, but somewhat positive. But as for what she's going to do with those powers, I think she's going to try to find the killer. That is her focus, her dedication. That is what caused her as immortal to
Hmm.
stand up to the entire pantheon. And now to her, this is just another thing that I can use to get out the truth and who killed my friend Lucy. Why?
Yep.
Because I know that she saw it happen, but the reason is she's smart enough to realize that there's an intricate path that led it to that. What is the spark? And I think that that's where we're going to go with that. Now, Jadobi, it's all you, buddy.
See, this kind of has me thinking because my first reaction would be that she would go to Cassandra, who now has absolute reason to believe her.
Yeah,
Not and yeah now and she could easily go to the Morgan and Amaterasu, though the problem is that Amaterasu seems fearing of the other gods, and the Morgan is still a big question mark despite helping her when she really needed her. Though, and then there's a third option, which is Lucy tries to teach herself how to use the powers, continues to find out who's the killer, and probably just takes the fight straight to the rest of the gods. I mean, who's to say she can't? We saw what Lucy could pretty much handle herself against Bao and oh crap, I'm forgetting Sanak.
Sekhmet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sakame. I never tried pronouncing that
You
myself.
got it.
She could pretty much handle herself against both. So who's to say she can't fight each of them off one by one, trying to figure out who the real killer is?
But then you almost start wondering, like, what has the relationship between these gods been in the past?
Yeah.
Because that's then, if you know one of them killed Lucy, I think that's pretty much guaranteed at this point, unless there's a huge curveball coming that like some other entity did it. If one of them killed Lucy and Laura finds out and this becomes an entire war, it's almost like there has to be bad blood between them all going back a ways for this to now be a thing. Because you
Right.
have to take into account they're only around for 2 years. That's not a lot of time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a lot. It's not, to me. It's not enough time for them to all hate each other.
Right. No, absolutely not. No,
So
I
yeah,
don't.
yeah. So I'm kind of like, I kind of want to see some stuff from their previous incarnations to see what their relationships were like.
Mhm. I like for me, it's like maybe they need bad blood, maybe they don't need bad blood. Though at the same time, it also matters their reaction to Ananke killing Lucy because even if Ball um hated Lucy, it doesn't necessarily mean he agreed that she needed to die right there. Of course, maybe most likely he did, though. I mean, so you put him on the other side, and then you have someone like Amaterasu, who seemed like she was against killing Lucy at all, and would have
she tried to
wanted to
stop her
figure out. Yeah,
because she knew
she would
what
have.
was going to happen.
Yep, and wanted to look for where peaceful means. So you put her on the other side, and then you just keep stacking the gods on who agrees with who on how the situation was handled, and then you throw Laura in the middle, who's very well spoken for a 19-year-old,
Mhm.
and she could convince anyone who was on the fence about it that hey, this is wrong. I have powers now. I'm pretty much like one of you. I have a say. I should have a say in what goes on from here and how things should be handled, especially considering this is a different time period as well.
Yeah. Do you guys almost feel bad for Laura though? That
I,
she's a tragic figure because she's only going to be if she is indeed now the vessel for Lucifer, she's
I feel
going to
horrible.
die.
Yeah, in less than she wouldn't even get the whole thing because now she's
Yeah.
picking up the ball and
Yeah.
taking it for the rest of the time. So she's going to die in like a year and a half, or
Yeah.
however long it's going to be. That's horrible.
So
But
it's like a Greek, it's like it's a tragedy.
she was going to make the most of it, and that's all we can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. That's of course that's of course saying she is actually the vessel and doesn't just have some
Yes.
powers, because the other side of this, which is something that I've been thinking about as well, is that her present is powers. Not that she is Lucifer, but that she's getting powers, and that's part of her gift for being such a good friend to Lucy.
I wonder if that's like a completely new entity into the world. Human,
Yeah.
God. Maybe she's a demigod.
Demi. That's what I was
Yeah,
just about to
which would be
say.
really cool because that would not be the first time we have demigods involved in stories, and then that also now makes you wonder, well, are there other demigods out there? Like,
Mhm.
is there like a Hercules out there who or people like that? Are those, if they're out there, that would be an entirely new level to this story.
Bowl's demigod. Think
Oh,
about it. Think
jeez.
about it.
That's kind of frightening.
Yeah. Cause you have to assume like the gods never play nice, and they're not nice to humans, and they also like to have a lot of sex. So you're gonna tell me in those 2 years that they've all been reincarnated, that none of them did anything with anybody else?
No, never. Not even the slightest.
Not even, they don't even look. They're
When they
completely
met each
abstinent.
other, they all boned each other. That's pretty much what I got from it. And then when they got bored of boning each
Hmm.
other, that's when they went out into the world and boned everything else.
Yes. I
I
mean,
like.
I'm just throwing that out there, that maybe that's what happened.
Hmm. Now this is completely off topic, but can we just go back to Ball for a second?
All right, let's
And
do
the,
it.
and the whole clash between him and Lucy,
Oh,
where she just let loose on him,
Oh, it was
and
great.
and then he just had the most priceless phrase in the whole entire series, calling her Miss Whiter Than White Challenge Winner 2014. I was like, what?
oh man.
He
That
really
that
went
was
there.
such a Kanye West thing to say, though.
You
It really was.
I think that you bring up a good point, though, when you start talking about how they talk to each other, because it's kind of cool how they all embody a different genre or artist themselves.
Yes.
We haven't met Woden yet, but Woden looks like Daft Punk.
Yes, he's an
He
electronic
does.
artist,
Yes,
and he has, and I don't know if everybody knows exactly how popular electronic music is, especially like
it's
in
very,
Europe, and
yeah.
it's a religion. Like,
It
no,
is.
Well,
Brett, it's a
well,
religion.
let me see. I have notes on the gods, and I have what Woden is. Woden is basically a different name for Odin.
Right.
So
Yep.
he's basically the All-Father,
Yes.
and he embodies electronic music.
Yes.
It's perfect. These things are not done by accident.
No, not at
Electronic
all.
music is so big in Europe. Obviously there's a large fan base in the U.S., but this is more of a European thing.
Yes. I mean,
And
as
Yep.
far as
he's
I know,
Odin. He's the All-Father.
yes.
You could just see him in Norway at a rave,
Yes, exactly correct. A
and it's
lot of
perfect.
people might have such being off put by that depiction of Woden, but no, come on,
I
that's
love that. I
perfect.
think that's
I
epic.
love
I
it
want to
too.
see that.
I would love to get more into him and his whole being. And I would
Well,
like to.
oh no, go
You
ahead.
continue. No, you continue. I'm going to segue later on to that.
Oh no, when you mentioned seeing Woden, the issues have been solicited. He's gonna be heavily featured in an issue. He is the next cover. After,
Oh, so
yeah,
good.
after the trade comes out, the next issue solicited, I believe
Oh,
it's the very next one, is him
oh,
on the
so good.
cover.
Can
Yeah,
I gotta see that
covers
one.
of this comic book are pieces of artwork.
yeah.
Every single one of them. I could put them all on the wall and be totally happy looking at them every day. They're
Pretty
just so simple,
much.
just a face of whoever they're doing with the wicked and the divine all over it.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. Love it. So
Create your own shrine.
mm,
And then you have like Amaterasu, who's like the perfect pop star.
yes,
She's like all the pop stars embodied. And Lucy's obviously David Bowie.
right.
And then Ball is Kanye West. He's hip hop.
Yes.
basically. Not hardcore rap. He's hip hop. He's a
No,
whole
total
culture.
hip hop.
The whole culture. Um the Morrigan is goth. So like it's just so cool that they all are a different genre. And I want to see, I mean, we haven't seen everyone enough to figure them all out, but I kind
Now,
of do you guys, from what we've seen, there isn't a male equivalent to like the boy bands.
are you sure? Because that's kind of what I picked up from Minerva.
Okay, so then yeah, then I may have not picked up on that, but that itself is could create a really cool character that we could get
It
really
would.
annoyed with real fast.
Very. It's
We
like
haven't even
Laura,
touched
Laura
into
lighting him on
Minerva.
fire.
Ooh.
Laura
Uh,
snapping that guy's direction.
I did get a confirmation from Jamie McKelvey on Twitter about the design of the Baphomet. Uh, there's being a gothy person myself, I am
Mhm.
aware of a band called the Sisters of Mercy. I'm not
Yeah.
a fan for reasons we won't get into, but whatever. I'm aware of them and their lead singer Andrew Eldritch. The Baphomet is a spitting image of Andrew Eldritch from the video for This Corrosion by Sisters of Mercy. Look that up right now and take a look at him. It's like, bam, there it is. I did get a confirmation on that from him.
Yeah. So you kind of like you're looking at everybody saying what genre are you?
Right.
What genre are you? And I know like we haven't seen everyone, but I'm kind of trying to pinpoint who everyone sort
Um,
of is.
I see
Um,
it.
yeah.
see, you did, didn't you? Didn't you? Yep.
Yep, I see it.
It's like perfect. I saw that guy and I was like, oh my God, it's Andrew Eldritch.
It really is.
It really, really is.
And
Hey now,
it's
hey
just so
now,
cool.
now.
And it's just like it's so cool to see that because they are a very musical duo, that the creative team,
Yes.
and this is something that has come up in all of their work, music, modern music at that. That's what's important to note, that this is modern music and modern artists, and aside from David Bowie, but Lucifer would never be a modern person, a modern singer. They would always be some classic badass from back in the
Yes.
day. So of
Absolutely.
course Lucifer's gonna be David Bowie. That's come on.
The obvious answer would have been the Stones. But no,
Yeah,
Lucifer's not
yeah.
obvious, and that's why Lucifer went David Bowie style, but had a really epic Stones moment.
Yes. I was gonna say that. Then I think with Lucifer too, it was like they wanted to go for something that would be almost regal. So that's why you do the Thin White Duke version of
Yeah,
David Bowie, because that is a regal rock star.
absolutely.
Because Lucifer could have easily just been like Keith Richards, drunk, crazy, over the top. But the David Bowie choice is better. And then, I mean, I didn't pick up on Minerva, so now I'm kind of like, can we get a Minerva heavy issue so I
Oh, I'm
could get
sure we
annoyed
will. I
with the
would love
boy band stuff, because
that.
that's got to be fun. And it's cool too. I mean, if you're still listening to us at this point with the spoilers, there's a Spotify playlist for the series that Kieran Gillen has, and he adds music to it every
Yes.
issue. Um, I really, even if you're not into a lot of the music, which is fair, it's a lot of songs, so
It's a lot
obviously,
of different songs from
yeah,
everywhere.
you can kind of pick up on where the song kind of fits into the story. And of course, "Sympathy for the Devil" is on there.
Of course.
um, there's a lot of pop on there. There's a lot of rock on there. It's different. There's different
Oh, I'm
time
looking that
periods
up
and
right
stuff.
now.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
check it out. I mean, that's something that helps. I found it after right before the first issue came out. Um, and I love it.
Pixies.
It's cool. um, I don't know. So, like, where do you guys have any more thoughts on the characters and their musical senses or anything like that?
I was kind of thinking when you were bringing up how you addressed them about American gods, and it kind of made me think about how in that book, I don't want to spoil that book for anybody, but I'm going to just go there. It was kind of the old gods versus the new gods, and the new gods in that book were like gods like media and things like that, right?
Mhm.
That makes sense. Well, this kind of feels to me that not it's kind of that concept, but merged together. You have the old gods who are now also the new gods, represented by the chosen musical celebrity genre that they've adapted to themselves. So it's
Yeah.
representative of themselves adapted to today. And I love that. I think that's great. And just seeing how they would go with that is one of the fascinations of this book. And because nobody ever would have thought of Woden, the All Father, as
It's my favorite.
I love that. Nobody would have thought of that. Well, obviously somebody did, because that's why we're talking about
I think as far as the musical stylings for each of the characters go, I think that enhances what they're gonna do.
it. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
especially, I mean, you saw Amaterasu, the perfect pop star. She was kind of just trying to calm everyone down and try to make it more peaceful. And she's the god of light, so it's like, well, that makes sense for her. And then you
Yeah.
have
It does.
somebody like Ball, who is my favorite because he's Kanye West. You don't know what he's gonna do.
But he's all
He's
about himself.
Well,
exactly. So you
well,
could always. Oh no, go ahead.
well, like Kanye, he did drop down from the sky and interrupt her in the middle of it.
He did, which is why he became my favorite. He just was like, okay, I'm here, and that
But too
makes
late.
him and that makes him an interesting character because he's selfish and he's gonna do what he's gonna do for himself, and you start to question. He does have interactions with Laura, but is he trustworthy? My money is on no,
My money
unless
is you can
uh,
absolutely trust him to do everything
if
in his power for himself.
yeah,
Yep.
if it's gonna be anything that can help him, trust him. If not, if you're looking for him to be selfless, it's not gonna happen. And then
Nope.
you start to wonder, you start to look at the other ones as we get further in, and like the Morrigan and her three personas, which even then they do all still fit the same genre, don't they? They still all fit goth.
Oh yeah, yes, goth is very multi-layered
Yeah,
and faceted, and there's all different kinds of ways that you can go, even within that one genre. I mean, it's ridiculous almost
yeah,
how many splinter subgenres there are there. So yes, absolutely, that fits.
yeah.
Wait, wait. But then again, Bao might he might actually feel some sympathy for Laura out of respect, because despite the fact that he took it to her without holding back, he pretty much he the way he spoke to her made it sound like he didn't want to fight her, but of course he really did. And she pretty much was in that same mindset. And it's like wouldn't you respect someone who wouldn't back down? I
I
mean,
I think that he kind of
yeah.
started out with some respect for her because in their initial conversation, when he's well, not their initial one, but the one where they're leading into the Pantheon chamber, he has this incredible monologue back and forth with Cassandra that we learn all of that wasn't even talking to her. It was all addressing Laura without addressing Laura in a true Kanye West style.
Oh yeah, that was
But it
perfect.
was all still for her. All of that information he designed for her, and he had to respect her at that point enough to know that it was important she get that.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
did there.
yeah. So for to wrap up our discussion, because we've really gone into these five issues in a very big way.
I
I
could talk about
guess
this all day.
yeah, we easily could. We could go on much longer. The next arc. What are your predictions for where it'll pick up? Where are we headed with Laura? Where like what? Just bold predictions of where you think the next arc, what the next arc is going to accomplish.
Accomplish.
Yeah, what do you think it's going to accomplish?
Well, my first expectation is for it to accomplish what happens when the world really does acknowledge the fact that they are gods. That seems like the big thing.
This is kind of like the same kind of information that we would get if all of a sudden a spaceship came down and opened up and little green people came out and was like, hey, what's up? We're aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have to deal with that. This is kind of the same level information. Like the policeman of all the gods just turned to us and all and said, what? We got this. Don't worry. But hey, how's it going? So I agree with you. We're going to have to, I think, unless, of course, Cassandra becomes true to her name.
Mm-hmm.
And then that doesn't become an issue. But I have a feeling that we're going to see a fallout from that. I think
Yeah.
that we're going to see that everybody will. They already were on the verge, right? Because there was debate, and there was people who believed that they were gods, and people who didn't believe they were gods and just thought they were celebrities. So there was already debate. So a definitive answer on that would change us as a people, and I think we're going to see it. I also
Yeah.
think that we're going to see a definite, obviously a progression of the plot and the murder mystery, but I think we're going to get a really excellent idea by the end of this next arc who is the killer. I think we're definitely going to have the information we need for that.
Yeah, I am gonna second what Soup said. I do think we're gonna find out who the killer is, because I'm gonna assume the next arc is 5 issues, so that'll be by issue 10 we'll know who the killer is, and by then I also think we'll know the answer to whether or not Laura is a vessel or if she's a demigod.
I think we'll know that by next issue.
Yeah, I think we'll know, but I think the murder mystery will get wrapped up, and I think this is all headed to some big falling out, a war type of thing between these people in this group. And I think we'll just get closer to drawing lines in the sand, and even farther out in the future, I'm gonna get even more bold with this. I don't think this whole series is gonna take place over 2 years. I think we're gonna get another incarnation down the road. I think we're gonna jump ahead 90 years, and we're gonna see them really go out there and say, "Oh look, all that bad blood from before. Okay, 90 years later, now we're all back at each other's throats." But that's not for the next arc. That's way out there. That's way out there.
That would make an excellent epilogue.
Yeah, that's way out there. But yeah, the next arc, I think we'll find out who the murderer is, and we'll get more about what Laura really is, and meet the other gods. See Woden in a club at a rave.
Minerva is a boy band.
Oh man, I hope Minerva is annoying. Like,
I was kind of annoyed looking at Minerva, so like, that tells you everything.
I hope Minerva is as annoying as possible. Has like 300 million Twitter followers and. Okay, so we will be back. Oh no, go ahead, Jadobi.
I don't know. It's just that Minerva. It's like I know that normally refers to something bad. I mean,
Minerva is another name for Athena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that when it comes to LARPing, some people tend to use the phrase Minerva though in a negative context. So I don't know. It just always makes me wonder.
Explain that to me. Give me an example of how you would use Minerva in a negative LARPing context. I don't know.
I don't know, if someone was angry about someone else, they would say something insulting and then end it saying the Minerva. I never really asked. I've never actually asked what Minerva meant. I just took it as something negative. But
I bet you're gonna ask now.
I'm gonna ask now. Yeah. like calling someone an old sea hag, the Minerva, and I'm like, and I just kind of took the word as it is. Never really asked exactly what it meant.
Stop. What does that mean? Tell me now. I need to know. It's very imperative for the comic book I'm reading.
All right. Well, for anyone that listened, later on, thank you for downloading and listening. And if you watched us live, because it says that there is a viewer, so thank you for
Oh,
watching.
really?
Hi.
Hi, live viewer.
Hi, live
Hello.
viewer. Thank you for watching.
Heart to you. Big time back.
Yes. Thank you for watching. And if you have like any comments or questions about stuff you want us to actually cover in this, then let us know. Like I said in the beginning, we did all 5 issues in the first episode, but subsequent episodes are going to be just the single issue. So right after not the trade, that's next month, the month after when issue 6 comes out, hopefully the week it comes out, we will record this and break down that issue. Now that we're going single issues, we're gonna get really deep into these issues. And we really just hope you like it. I mean, this book is so detailed, and there's so many little things that you could really get into. And
It's worth a monthly listen to. Join us
it
every
is.
month.
Yes. You know, yeah, this will always be on geekedoutnation.com, so you can always find us there, find reviews, find whatever you need, and maybe if we get successful enough, we could get the creative team on here. Help us out with that.
Spread the word.
We could
Next week I'm
interview
gonna
them.
dress up.
And see, if you keep watching, Soup will dress up, so... So make sure you watch, download, leave us comments, questions about the book, and remember you can buy all 5 single issues right now at any local comic shop. You could get them on Comixology. And next month, I think the book is actually out like 3 weeks from now. The first trade comes out for just $9.99.
Come on, man. In a day and age of $5.99 single issue comic books, how can you not do that?
$9.99.
Justice.
Yes,
Oh.
$9.99. Thank you, Image, because that's the only publisher that's really pushing that. First volumes are always $10. So get that, and then let us know what you think of the book. That's what we want to know. How are
We
you
want to
guys
hear
feeling
all
about
about
it?
it.
We do.
If it's oh my god, like 100
We
times,
will read
just
it
do
on.
that.
We will read how much you love the book on the podcast. And if it's just a bunch of random letters, we'll just say,
I'll read it.
yeah, Soup will read it.
I'll read it all. If it's a bunch of nonsense, I will look at it and read it verbatim. Because
There you
that's
go.
how much I love this book. And if you share that with me, then it deserves that much attention.
See, that's how much we like you guys who are listening to this. So, website is www.geekedoutnation.com. Follow us at geekedoutnation. Check out all our comic reviews, interviews, everything, our other podcasts, and we will see you guys in about 2 months when issue 6 comes out.
That's a long time.
It is, but that's how they're doing it. You get the trade and then the new issue, so we got a bit of a wait. So let us know what you think, and have a good one.
Later.